Welcome back. Today is our third reading of Bus 99. So far, we've talked about and you thought about if Jamal and Luke are right to live at home or are they wrong to live at home. We talked about if Jamal is right or wrong to panic, and that's where we left him yesterday. He was jumped off the bus and started running around a little bit in a panic, trying to figure out why so many things are different. Today, I want you to think about if Jamal is right or wrong to enjoy this new reality. We've noticed that some things in his world are going to change. Is he right or wrong to enjoy this new reality? Winded from sprinting 8 blocks, Jamal stopped to catch his breath. He was standing in front of the shop where Luke worked. As his breath returned to normal, he looked up at the sign in front. Relieved, he saw that it was the same. Tall neon letters spelled out "Import Doctors." The picture showed a cartoon doctor holding a small red sports car in his palm. His stethoscope was pressed against the side of the car as if he were listening to its heartbeat. Jamal rushed inside to look for Luke. He found his brother working under the roof of a sleek luxury car. "Luke!" he cried out. "Man, am I glad to see you! And you don't even have green horns or anything." Then he realized Luke was working on a Lexus. It was a Japanese car. Import Doctors had always specialized in repairing only European cars. Glancing around, Jamal saw that every car in the place was Japanese. He signed and shook his head. By now, he was starting to expect weird things to be happening out of the blue. Luke looked concerned. "What's going on, Jamal?" he asked. "Aren't you supposed to be in class?" "Oh, man, you won't believe this," Jamal burst out. "I can't believe it myself." Then he noticed Luke was wearing a gold wedding band. "You are still my brother, aren't you?" "Last time I looked," Luke said. "What's up? Are you losing it, bro?" "Well," Jamal said, "I seem to have slipped into some kind of parallel universe. I know it sounds crazy, but first something darted in front of the bus. It almost got hit, but it scrambled out of the way just in time. Some guy thought it was a dog, but then it stopped by my window. It was one weird little critter, man. Then it looked straight at me, raised a shiny object it was holding, and blasted me right in the eye. Luke, I couldn't see anything for a minute. I was like blind." Okay. Calm down, Jamal," Luke said. "I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation for all this. You stayed up late studying last night, didn't you? I bet you fell asleep on the bus and had a bad dream." "No, Luke, that's what I thought at first. But anyway, that was only the beginning." Then Jamal told Luke the rest of the story. He ended by asking when Import Doctors had suddenly started to serve Japanese cars. Now Luke was getting worried. He thought his brother must be cracking up. He motioned for Jamal to sit down on a nearby chair. "See if you have a fever," he said, putting his hand on Jamal's forehead. "Hey, what's this? You got a jagged scar above your left eye. Never seen that before." Jamal touched his forehead. Luke didn't know about the accident? Could it be? Had he stumbled into the universe where the car accident had never happened? "I'm going to call Dad," Luke said. "He's just around the corner." Jamal fainted. When he came to, Jamal was stretched out in bed. His mother was leaning over him, looking worried. "Oh, Mom, are you ever a sight for sore eyes?" Jamal cried out. "You wouldn't believe all the weird stuff that happened to me today. I almost thought I'd been transported into a parallel universe. Luke was married, Dad was still alive, and just then Jamal noticed the other people in the room. Luke was there, and his arm was around Latanya's waist, and Dad was standing next to him. He looked a little older, but it was him all right. A little boy, about 8, stood beside him. Then Jamal looked closely at the tall, thin young man standing behind Dad. It was himself. "He looks just like me," the tall young man said. The only difference I can see is the big scar over his left eye. Maybe he's an alien, the little boy chimed in. I bet he's one of those pod people. Boy, they did a great job of making him look just like my brother. Jamal was dumbstruck. No, it could not be possible. Surely there was no such thing as a parallel universe. Or was there? Okay, son, Dad said softly. Why don't you just start at the beginning? Jeez, Dad, I just can't believe you're alive again, Jamal cried out. He reached out and touched his father's face. It's amazing. It's really you. And you're a normal, living, breathing, warm-blooded man. You sure don't look like a guy who's been dead for 8 years. What is going on here? I thought I died. You thought I died? Dad asked. Maybe I really don't want to know, son, but why don't you just tell us the details? How did this happen? Well, there was a terrible car accident on August 8th of 1996, Jamal said. You, Mom, and I were on our way to buy me some new track shoes. Luke had gone to a movie. An 18-wheeler An 18-wheeler ran a red light and plowed into the driver's side of our car. When I woke up, I was in the hospital. Mom told me you had died. It was terrible. A few days later, she lost the baby and, shocked, Jamal stared at the boy. Is that my little brother? Jamal's mother was crying. She hugged the little boy fiercely. Yes, son, this is Aaron, she said. He was born on October 15, 1996. The embarrassed boy struggled to get away from his mother. He was still fascinated by this stranger who looked just like his hero, Jamal. I remember that day, Mom said sadly. We came so close to being hit broadside by that truck. Thank heaven Dad was able to swerve just in time. We were lucky, Dad said, picking up the story. The truck did clip us and spin us around in the street, but no one was seriously hurt. He looked at Jamal and spoke softly. Well, young man, it seems that my destiny has many paths. I'm so sorry that in your world, your path took such a very sad turn. The bewildering phenomenon still puzzled them all. But over the next few days, Jamal became great friends with the other Jamal. To tell them apart, the family was now calling the new Jamal by his middle name, Tyrone. It didn't matter that it was the other Jamal's middle name, too. It was just easier to call the new arrival Tyrone. So that's what everybody did. In this other universe, Jamal was an accounting student. He had his own apartment close to the university. Obviously, the family with a father had a lot more money. Tyrone told Jamal that he had once considered accounting. It had seemed like a solid career choice. After all, companies would always need someone to do payroll, taxes, and so on. But ever since Dad's death, Tyrone explained, architecture had seemed a lot more attractive. He always liked art, and the idea of carrying on his father's legacy appealed to him. So that's how he'd become an art student. Mr. Johnson was proud that Tyrone was studying architectural sculpture, and he was interested in Tyrone's class project. The father and son had long talks about CAD too. In this other universe, Dad used CAD all the time now, and like Tyrone, Dad thought it was great, although he sometimes missed the old days of drawing by hand. Tyrone was having a lot of fun with his little brother Aaron. The little boy loved playing basketball in the driveway with his look-alike brothers. You guys are both my heroes now, Aaron exclaimed. And Tyrone, I'm sorry about the pod people put down. You're just as cool as the real Jamal. I mean, I know what you mean, kiddo. Tyrone smiled, rubbing the boy's head. Then he scooped up his little brother and swung him around and around like an airplane. Aaron howled with glee. Tyrone got to know his other mother, too. She had become a successful caterer. Several nights a week, Letty's catering van brought heaping platters of home-cooked food to people's parties. Luke said she had made great money at it and was very happy. But Tyrone wished he could talk to his mother back home. He wanted to tell her that everything was fine in a parallel universe. Dad had not died, and she never lost her baby. He wished he could see the strapping 8-year-old boy who loved to play basketball and watch science fiction movies, but he knew she'd never understand. With a twinge of jealousy, Tyrone told Luke that, in his own universe, Latanya was his girlfriend, not Luke's wife. They'd met at the meeting place, a popular hangout with students. He explained that it was an internet cafe as well as a coffee shop. For the price of a cup of coffee, you could use the computer there for 30 minutes. Anyway, in his universe, that's how Tyrone and Latanya had met. He told Luke that he was crazy about her. But in this universe, the meeting place was a butcher shop. So Tyrone was curious to know how Luke and Latanya had met. Surely she hadn't been hanging out at the butcher shop. She came to the shop one time to get her Toyota fixed, Luke explained. The U-joint was shot. I remember I was underneath an Acura at the time. All I could see was her pretty little feet and ankles. When I rolled myself out to talk to her, it was love at first sight. Tyrone made a mental note. Once he got back to his own universe, he would have to keep a closer eye on Luke. After all, Tyrone had met Latanya first. She was his girl. All right. So in this last reading, Jamal is kind of enjoying a little bit this family that he gets to meet. And I want you to talk about in your response if he's right or wrong to enjoy this new reality. And again, remember to refer back to the details in the text.